All right, Hassan Abdullah, we'll be crossing to you throughout the day. Thank you very much for that first cross. All right, now the Hagia Sophia is not the only place of worship whose believers have changed. Across the world, there are buildings that no longer serve the religions that they were originally built for. Let's take a look at some of them. In Spain, for instance, the Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba was initially built back in the 9th century as a mosque and then was later converted into a Catholic church in the 13th century after the expulsion of Muslim and Jews from the region. Muslims across Spain have lobbied the Catholic Church to be allowed to pray there, but the Vatican has so far opposed the move. Also in Spain, the synagogue of Santa Maria la Blanca in Toledo was built as a synagogue known as Ibn Shushan in the year 1180. But after Jews were expelled from the region in the year 1405, it became a church. The building is now a museum owned by the Catholic Church, and Jewish leaders are now calling on the Archbishop of Toledo to give back the property as a symbol of religious tolerance. In Bulgaria, for instance, the Seven Saints Church in Bulgaria was once a 16th century mosque, regarded as one of the most beautiful buildings in Sofia, and it was damaged by an earthquake and then later converted into an Orthodox church a decade after the Russo-Turkish War in 1902. It took almost 100 years to complete the intricate internal decorations. And finally, the Great Mosque of Damascus in Syria is one of the oldest mosques in the world, dating back to the 7th century, to 634 exactly. The mosque was built on the site of a Christian basilica dedicated to John the Baptist, built 200 years earlier. Legend has it that his head still lies somewhere in the building. Now, it was converted into a mosque after Damascus was captured by Muslim Arab forces. All right, many critics have actually major reservations about Turkey restoring the Hagia Sophia status as a place of worship. But as Obey Dahito reports, some minority Christian communities say the government has made significant efforts to help preserve their heritage.
A prayer service that's been happening for more than 1,600 years at the St. Gabriel Monastery in Turkey's Mardin province. It's the world's oldest operating Syriac Orthodox monastery and sits on a plateau that believers say is hallowed ground.
Up until today, this monastery has made a huge impact. This region is the spiritual homeland of the Syriacs and is the headquarters of the Archbishop. At the same time, this monastery is a place where thousands of people from all around the world come to visit.
Then Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan returned confiscated land to the church in 2014. And Shukru says the monastery is hopeful the government will continue to take positive steps in protecting its rights.
Syriacs accepted Christianity in the 4th century and started building monasteries and churches and developed their culture. Since Syriacs started worshipping in those places, that worship is still happening today. We don't have any problem whatsoever in terms of worship. Syriacs living in the nearby villages around and the priests and nuns in the monasteries can easily worship 3 times a day without any problems.
Akdamar Church, or the Church of the Holy Cross, on Akdamar Island in Lake Van, is an Armenian Orthodox church built more than 1,000 years ago. It was abandoned in 1915, but in 2007, the Turkish government renovated it and reopened it as a museum. 3 years later, the first services in 95 years were held in the church, and Turkey's Armenian Orthodox community hopes more progress will be made to protect its heritage. There are at least 50,000 Turkish Armenians, most of them living in Istanbul. Gayana moved back to Van from Istanbul to be nearer to her ancestral home and the church.
Sona kadar burada yaşayayım, ölene kadar.
I want to live here forever until the day I die, and I'm trying to open the way for Orthodox Christians and Armenians to come here without thinking of the past. We don't have to think about all these old memories, because all that matters is brotherhood and friendship, because we believe in the same God.
Hiç gerek yok.
Even though the church holds services only once a year in September, Guyana is excited about the future.
Ben tek Ermeniyim burada. Ben tek başıma.
I am the only Turkish Armenian living in Van. All I can do is come here 3 to 4 times a month and pray. We wish this place can have regular services, but no one is coming here. We need priests to come. People need to come from outside of Turkey and also from Istanbul. I wish I can come here every Sunday and pray, but I can't do that alone. It's like they say, one flower doesn't bring the smell.
Ama tek başı.
Some minority religious communities in Turkey may have been around longer than the Republic, but they say they're still flourishing in Turkey today. Obaidehito, TRT World, Van, Turkey.
Well, that was a brief introduction of what we have lined up for our viewers. Our special coverage of the reopening of Hagia Sophia as a mosque after 86 years continues here on TRT World throughout the day. For now, we're going to head back to our headquarters in Istanbul with Nafisa Latic. Nafisa?
Alijan, thanks so much for that. I quite enjoyed that special coverage from about Hagia Sophia. Thanks so much for that, Alijan, for now. Okay, let's turn to other news. Diplomatic tensions between the U.S. and China have escalated as Beijing announced the closure of the U.S. consulate in Chengdu. The move comes just 2 days after the announcement that Washington wants China's consulate in Houston, Texas, closed by Friday. On Thursday, 3 Chinese citizens were arrested by U.S. authorities and are facing charges for allegedly lying on their visa application.